Coffee with Dr. Johns, a series which will discuss various topics in our beef cattle operations concerning health, nutrition, and management. My name is Brent Williams, and this is Dr. John Johns, and we're with Burkmann Nutrition. Today, we would like to discuss how we can reduce the effects of stress in our cattle. Dr. Johns?
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate the introduction. No matter what we're doing, if we're buying calves out of the stockyards to put on feed for the rest of the winter, or we're looking to buy calves to get them started that they're going to go out on grass in the spring, or if we're just weaning those fall-born calves off of their mothers, there's some degree of stress on cattle involved in all of that. We need to realize what stress actually does to cattle. The two big things that it does is it reduces their appetite and it reduces their dry matter intake. Now, these cattle still have the same nutrient requirements for health and for growth, but they're not going to eat as much. Therefore, we need what I'm going to call a nutrient-dense ration that we put in front of these calves for a few days to a few weeks, perhaps, depending on how stressed they really are. Remember, they don't eat as much, so they have to get all of the nutrition that they need in less amount of feed. That's what I call a stress ration. Now, there are several factors to consider when we're discussing what a stress ration really should be. The energy level is quite important. Research has shown that high energy rations actually make calves more sick. We'll have a higher percentage of cases that we'll have to treat if we're feeding a very high level energy ration. On a TDN, or total digestible nutrient basis, the ration, the research has shown, should be 65% or less TDN. Fat levels cannot be tolerated well by calves under high stress situations, so the level of fat in the ration should be less than 4%. Some other factors that are important are the starch content of the ration is being fed. This is related to the energy levels, of course, but highly digestible fiber sources that are low in starch will make the cattle perform and keep them healthy, but will reduce the level of sickness that we would expect to see in these cattle, as opposed to feed high levels of starch in the ration. A really important factor is the amount of protein and the form of the protein that's in the ration. NRC research, National Research Council work with beef cattle, has shown that we need about a 14 to 14.5% crude protein ration on a dry matter basis to get these cattle started well. Now, the form of the protein is very important. Calves under stress don't do well with high non-protein nitrogen for salt sources of the protein. However, they do need some. The research has shown that about 45% of the protein should be in a form that is rumen undegradable protein. By that I mean it will not break down in the rumen, but it will pass into the small intestine and be broken down into its constituent amino acids and absorbed. So we get natural protein into these calves. About 55% of the protein that's going into the animal does need to be in a form that will break down and supply nitrogen in the rumen. That nitrogen is very important for the microbials in the rumen to be able to form energy and to form a microbial protein that will be digested and utilized by the calf. Minerals are tremendously important. One of the macro minerals that we really want to pay attention to is potassium. Research has shown that potassium levels of about equal to or greater than 1.2% in the stress ration for 2 weeks will tremendously reduce the amount of sickness in the calves. One of the things that stressed calves come into the situation with is they may be dehydrated, they may not know how to drink out of a waterer, and so they don't get the right amount of water intake that they should have. The high potassium level helps rehydrate these animals and gets them back to going faster. Burkmann stress rations that are available contain also live microbials and yeast to improve appetite stimulation and to improve dry matter intake, and 1,000 grams of chlorotetracycline per ton to help in prevention of bacterial enteritis and bacterial pneumonia.
Thank you, Dr. Johns, for that information. Dr. Johns helped us develop a product called Stress Guard. Stress Guard is available in 50-pound bags, and it is a traditional textured sweet feed, highly palatable with a lot of molasses to help drive the intake up, knowing that those calves are stressed and don't have the appetite that they normally would. So this is available to you at all of our Burkmann locations. Thank you, Dr. Johns, for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.